We've all seen Messi score some insane goals over his career. But in today's video, we're going to be looking at 7 of his most underrated goals. These are goals that haven't received enough credit or just simply aren't spoken about enough. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Number uno, not a top 10 list goal. In October of 2008, Messi came up against Athletic Bilbao in a league game. It was the 12th minute and Eto'o had just come off the bench for Messi. Messi had already had a couple of shots saved by the keeper before he got his goal in the 24th minute. He controlled a long pass from Pyle with his chest before hitting an angled volley across goal into the bottom corner. This is one of my favorite Messi goals, because the way he hit it was so unexpected. He could have as early taken a touch to set himself, but instead he went for the spectacular. This would be a contender for goal of this season if it wasn't for this next goal. In April 2009, Messi came up against the same opponent in the Copa del Rey. The first leg finished 1-1. No, 3. A solo run in a meaningless game. When you think of Messi's solo runs, you think of the Champions League final against Manchester United, the quarterfinal against AC Milan, the El Clasicos, etc. But there's one that stands out more than the rest. On May of 2013, Barcelona were already through to the next stage of the Champions League. They had won their group, whereas their opponents, Ajax, were bottom of the group with only 3 points. Barcelona were already 4-0 up, going into the 67th minute. And shortly after, Messi was brought down in the box. He stepped up to take the penalty himself. But, Amy said, now this happens quite rarely. In fact, this was only the second time he'd missed a penalty in La Liga. The keeper guessed the right way, but it was poor defending from Ajax, allowing Pedro to tap home the rebound. Shortly after, Messi decided to put on a show. He picked up the ball around the halfway line and drove forward, beating 4 Ajax players before placing it past the helpless keeper, Jasper Silizon. Now, yes, it was a meaningless game, but the difference between Messi and the rest of the world is that he doesn't see any game as meaningless. His mentality is always the same. And that's why he's different. This goal is so underrated because no one really remembers it. Most people just remember him missing the penalty. But the beauty of football is that you can turn bad days into good ones. And Messi did just that. Number 4, weak foot goals. We all know that Messi's stronger foot is his left foot. Over his career, he's scored more than 300 goals with this foot, but he's also chipped in with 100 goals with his weaker right foot. One of my favorite examples of this is against Real Betis in November of 2009. In the 75th minute, Messi cut inside from the right wing and curled a beautiful effort into the top corner with his right foot. There wasn't a whole lot of power behind it, but what he lacked in power, he made up for with placement. Now, if he didn't curl that ball around the keeper, it probably goes wide. But the way he curled it, there was absolutely no chance for the keeper to save it. What makes this goal even more special is the build-up play. Barcelona were 3-2-1 up at the time, and it looked like they were gonna cruise to a comfortable win. But Betis pulled one back, and suddenly the momentum had shifted. Messi needed to step up and make something happen, and he did just that. This is also a great example of how he drags his teammates along with him. As soon as he scores, You can see how much more confident his teammates are. They know they have the best player in the world on their side. And that gives them confidence. Number 5, touch, must. I called this one master because of the technique required. It needs to be done at full speed under pressure. And Messi has done it more than anyone else. Let me explain. On April of 2014, Barcelona were at home to Atletico Madrid in a league game. Barcelona were dominating possession, but it was goalless going into the 75th minute. Messi broke the deadlock with a beautiful one-touch finish. He controlled the ball with his chest before flicking it up with his left foot and hitting it first time with his right. The ball hit the back of the net before the keeper had even realized what had happened. Now, there's many ways to score a goal like this, but none of them are easy. You need to be brave enough to take the shot in the first place, which not many players have the confidence to do. Then you need to be technically gifted to pull it off. This is one of Messi's most underrated goals, because it was on during a big game and there was on there much time left on the clock. If this was the 90th minute and it was 0-0, then everyone would be talking about it. But the fact it was the 75th minute and the score was 1-0 means it has been forgotten about. But that won't stop me from saying it was brilliant. Number 6, Bajil surprises! A lot of people forget that Messi isn't just a left winger who cuts inside and shoots. He's played in every position across the front line and even in the number 10 role. In March of 2011, Messi came up against Osasuna, and despite being arguably the best player in the world, he was playing on the right wing. And surprisingly, he scored with a back. It was the 27th minute, and Barcelona were 1-0. Xavi played a quick free kick to Iniesta, who controlled the ball before laying it off to Messi. With his back to goal, he flicked it back into the path of Villa, who took a touch before smashing it past the keeper. At first, I thought it was a simple pass from Messi. But after watching it again, I saw his foot was turned outward, meaning he deliberately flicked it back to Villa. This is such an underrated goal because it shows the intelligence and awareness Messi has. Even though he's playing on the right wing, it knows that is where he needs to be, because that is where he received the ball from the free kick. But more importantly, he knows that he needs to flick it back to Villa, because that will create space for Villa to shoot. This is genius level stuff, and it's one of Messi's most underrated goals. And finally, no, 7 unknown to fans. This is one of those goals that's just completely flown under the radar. No one ever talks about it, and no one seems to know it, huh? On November of 2012, Messi came up against Malaga in a league game. It was the 67th minute, and Barcelona were 2-0 up. Andres Iniesta played a clever through ball to Messi, who controlled it with his chest before turning and shooting low into the bottom corner. The thing I love about this goal is the placement. Most players in this situation would either try to curl it into the top corner or smash it into the roof of the net, but Messi went for fun. He knew exactly where to place it, so the keeper had absolutely no chance. I am not sure if this is an underrated goal, because not enough people watched it, or because it just wasn't important enough. Either way, it's one of Messi's most underrated goals. If I'm being honest, there are probably another 10 or so that could have made it in this list. But let's finish off with this extra bonus clip. It's not really a goal, but it's genius. even in quiet moments. On January of 2015, Messi came up against Atletico Madrid in the first leg of the Copa del Rey. The game itself was pretty boring, but all that changed in the 63rd minute. Messi received the ball around the halfway line and began his run towards the opposition's goal. He beat two Atletico players before reaching the edge of the box. Gabby came across to stop him, but Messi just nutmegged him. He continued his run into the box before cutting back and laying it off to Neymar, who hit it across goal and just wide. Now, this isn't a goal, but the intelligence here is just next level. Messi knew if he kept running, he'd either get tackled or go out of play. So, instead, he nutmegs his man and lays it off for Neymar. This kind of stuff is what makes Messi the GOAT. He can turn nothing into something special, and this moment in the game is what makes Messi so magical. Well, that's it for today's video. Thank you for watching. And as always, show your support